Welcome to this channel, Medical Store. I'm Ian Victor, your host. And today we are looking at the thyroid and its hormones. But remember, this is part 2 of thyroid and its hormones. There is part 1, the video that we made, which gives you the introduction, gives you the functional anatomy, and gives you everything that to do with the thyroid gland and its hormones. And therefore, if you are watching this for the first time, please go back and first review our first video, and then you can be able to connect very well with this video that we are doing today. Today, we are basically going to continue with the mode of action of thyroid hormones, okay? So, we are going to look at the mode of action, and then we are going to look at the functions or the effects of the hormones on different glands, on different cells, and different target cells of the body. But maybe to give you a very short review, okay, we want to understand that if this is the hypothalamus, okay, so the hypothalamus produces what we call TRH, or the thyroid releasing hormone. The thyroid releasing hormone comes to the anterior pituitary gland, okay? And inside here we have cells that we call thylotropes. Thylotropes. These are the cells that produce a hormone that we call TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, okay? Therefore, this TSH or thyroid stimulating hormone comes to the thyroid gland. Remember, our thyroid gland is found just below the larynx, or what we refer to as the voice box. And it instructs it, okay, to produce hormones T3 plus T4. T4 is one of the most, or it is the hormone that is produced in the biggest and largest amounts, about 80 to 90%. But also do not forget that T3 is the active form of the thyroid hormones, okay? So this is the one that exerts effects, actually, in the different cells. Therefore, the body is also very wise. It converts T3 to T4. It converts T4, to T3 in the different target organs to be able to exert the different effects. And therefore, when you have a lot of T3 and T4, this communicates back, okay? High levels of T3 and T4, they communicate back to our hypothalamus and says, look, there is a lot of T3 and T4 here. So reduce the secretion of TRH, and this will cause also a reduction in TSH, and therefore it will cause a reverse effect and reduce the T3 and the T4. And the reverse is actually true. So with that in mind, let's come back and see when these hormones have been produced, the T3 and T4, after they have been produced, how do they exert their effects in the different organs and the different cells that they work on. Something that we need to note is that these hormones do not actually have a very specific organ that they target. Their cells, they have receptors all over the body, okay? So they affect every system and every cell that is in the body. We are going to expand on that in a minute. But let's look at its action now. When T3 and T4 hormone come, because they are steroid hormones, they do not have receptors on the cell membrane because they can be able to penetrate the cell membrane, and therefore their receptors are actually inside the nucleus. Okay, so this is a cell membrane. Okay, and inside is the nucleus. So they have their receptors inside the nucleus because they can be able to penetrate through the cell membrane. So they do not have to need to have receptors above or on the cell membrane. So when they come and enter through into the nucleus, inside the nucleus, there's what we call TRE, or the thyroid receptor element. Okay, this is always in attachment with what we call retinoid X receptor. Science hasn't yet found out exactly what is the use or what is the function of this retinoid X receptor that is in accompanance with the thyroid receptor element, but it is found that they are always in accompanied together. Now, this TRE is always attached or in close approximation with the genetic machinery. And what does that mean? It means that when these hormones come, T3 specifically, because we've said it is the one which is the active form, due to the fact that this receptor has a very big affinity for T3, and therefore when it binds to this, it is going to induce, okay, it is going to induce transcription of mRNA, and this also will lead to translation, and therefore we are going to have increased production of different proteins. Okay, so we are saying the receptors are inside in the nucleus. T3 and T4 will come, bind to the thyroid receptor element. So these two, retinoid X and this, form what we refer to as the hormone receptor element. Okay, so when this is formed, and because it is in close approximation with the genetic machinery that produces or that leads to formation of proteins, it is going to influence and lead to transcription and translation, and therefore we shall have a product as different kinds of proteins. The proteins that is produced depends on the kind of the organ or kind of the cell that is being influenced. Okay, so let's say that this whole process is taking place in the liver. Okay, so in the liver you will find that the protein that is going to be produced is what we call IGF-1, or what we know as insulin-like growth factor. Okay, and insulin-like growth factor is none other than, but it is the one that is, or that acts in place of growth hormone to produce growth. So these hormones are going to lead to the liver to increase the formation of IGF-1, and therefore it is going to increase the rate of growth. We are together. And then also, if it is in other cells, for example, different cells of the body, the protein that is always formed is what we call the sodium potassium channel. Okay, and remember, this channel is always in almost every cell of the body. So increased thyroid hormones are going to increase manufacture and expression of this, and as a result it will lead to increase of consumption of ATA, of ATP, consumption of ATP. Okay, and of course we know as we consume more ATP, we increase body metabolic rate, we increase heat production, so the temperatures go high and the rest. So let's look at the different actions or the effects or the functions of the thyroid hormones in the different parts and different organs of the body. So, as I've already said, they do not have a very specific target organ, but they have receptors all over the body, and therefore we are going to review their effects on different systems. Let's start with the cardiovascular system. Now, these hormones, okay, when they come to cardiovascular system, and specifically to the heart, they increase heart rate. Okay, they increase the heart rate. 2, they increase contractility. So contractility basically means the force or the power with which the heart pumps blood. Okay, and of course, when you increase contractility, you will increase the stroke volume. Stroke volume is basically the amount of blood that is pumped out of the heart in one stroke or in one beat. Okay, and then also this will lead to increase in cardiac output, and we know cardiac output is basically the amount of blood that is pumped out of the heart in 1 minute. So this tells us that if we have excess of these hormones, then increase in cardiac output and increase in heart rate can lead into hypertension. So we shall look at that when we are looking at hyperthyroidism. Okay? Now, the way how it increases the heart rate is that we shall find that also in CNS that these hormones are actually sympathomimetics, meaning they exaggerate the effects of sympathetic nervous system. How do they do this? They do this by increasing the number of receptors of sympathetic nervous system, but also increasing the sensitivity of the already existing receptors. Okay, so meaning in CNS, they increase sympathetic nervous system effects, but also they help in development, okay, in the development of CNS. Okay, so they help in development of things like different neurons. This tells us that if someone lacks these hormones when he's still very young, is going to have underdevelopment of the CNS, and therefore these people are more likely to be dead. Okay. Now, in GIT, because we've said this increase basal metabolic rate, they increase the rate at which the body functions, they are going to increase motility, okay, movement. And this, if they are high, they are going to they can lead to diarrhea, okay? And in growth of different or of all body cells, like I've already explained, that this increase the manufacture of IGF-1 in the liver. And IGF-1 is actually the one that acts in place of growth hormone, okay? This acts in place of growth hormone to cause growth in all the body cells and all body organs and parts. So reduction in these hormones can actually tell you that someone is more likely to have a short stature. Now, in bones, they help us to balance the effects of osteoclasts, osteoclasts and osteoblasts. So they are very good in helping to balance the effects of this, of bone resorption and bone deposition. In cases where we have too much, you find that they always favor oclastic activity, and therefore the bones become weak, someone gets osteoporosis, and what comes out, someone easily gets fractures. All right? Then also, they are very important in causing bone growth. Okay, because they act on the epiphyseal plates and cause bone elongation and strengthening of the bones. Then lastly, like I've already said, that one of the most proteins that is manufactured under the influence of these hormones is what we have referred to as the sodium potassium channels or transporters. And therefore, when you have this manufactured and pressed in the different cells, they increase the basal metabolic rate. This is very, very, very important. Because increase in this, of course, increases the activities of the body, increases the production of heat, increases the temperature of the body, increases the breakdown of different fuels of the body, carbohydrates, proteins, and the like. So, members, please, if you followed up to this step, please subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss any video that we upload. And please comment in the comment section below. If you have any question, put it in this comment section and we shall be able to answer all the questions that you will raise. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.